Guess what? I got a fever.
You give me fever.
Sam Darnold to the 49ers, just for kicks and giggles, because what the heck? Why not have another quarterback that's, a marginal starter on the 49ers roster? So I'm kind of perplexed about what this signals to us and what action we can take on any of the three quarterbacks.
It signals that Brock Purdy's elbow is not going to be ready. And everyone else
my first thought.
Should shut the fuck up about goddamn Brock Purdy already.
Thank you. Michael Scott Giff. Thank you. God, enough with this already. Enough with Purdy.
Nuts. Just they didn't spend all of that on Lance to not find out.
I will say this. As much as we know that coaches have ego and they spent, such and such capital on him, I think teams also look at it as, well, sunken cost is in a lot of cases like a fallacy that you shouldn't operate on. And if we know that as bad as Purdy is, we can plug him into this team and the team will carry him, at least they did for 6 weeks or so, then maybe we pivot and trade Lance and get something for him.
People who operate,
whereas we wouldn't get the same trade value back if we traded Purdy, for example.
Yeah. So people who believe this kind of theory have never worked in a corporate environment. They don't know what it means to have a boss that knows that you're replaceable and doesn't really care about you as much as the quarterback. Be honest with you. No matter who the coach is and who the coach's father is, he still has to go into the owner's office and say, well, sunken cost theory, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but 2 years ago, you sat here and told me this about this player and how we need to spend this and this and this. Well, I don't understand why now you're calling it a sunken cost. I think maybe you're the sunken cost, right? Doesn't that sound like what a boss might say? Especially if you're an owner of a multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar corporation.
Listen, hold on.
I don't think "oops, I messed up" is okay. You can't just sit there and say that to him. You have to start Lance to keep your job. Maybe not to keep your job, but to keep your credibility.
We can't count on rationality, right? And also, when I say X happened, that means such and such player is probably going to get fed more targets. You tell me we can't be in the offensive coordinator's minds. We don't know what they're thinking. And, if the defense knew, they just jumped that route. So what the hell do we know? We're not inside corporate boardrooms. What the fuck do we know what's going on? Whether somebody says, you told me that 2 years ago, start Lance or you lose your job, or whether they're like, yo, we have to deal with what's going on today. And today we can get a couple picks for Lance that we couldn't get for Purdy. We know Purdy's marginally, but by the way, I hate Purdy. Purdy's marginally, I'm just making devil's advocate. Purdy's marginally good enough to have the team carry him where he's a game manager.
Oh, so now you're telling me a marginally good enough is good enough to win me a Super Bowl? It wasn't last year.
Almost did.
Well, almost. This isn't horseshoes or hand grenades, my friend. I'm sorry, my former friend.
But if we got this close with Purdy last year, no reason that we can't this year.
Yeah, there's every reason in the world we can't. Every season is different.
Well,
right? Sure. So you're telling me that the last pick in the draft is our savior because he's a game manager and he's good enough? I don't want good enough. I want the guy to be elite.
What I'm telling you is the same huge ego that I have that you think is going to make me start Lance to save face is the ego that says I can plug anybody into this motherfucking offense because I'm Kyle motherfucking Shanahan. So Purdy is just a pawn for me. I'm winning the Super Bowl, not the quarterback.
Okay. I'm just telling you, everybody's got a boss. Every coach answers to someone. That's all. And also that I think it's ridiculous with that roster to go to battle with Brock Purdy. And also they're telling you with the Sam Darnold signing that he's not going to be ready.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? He's probably not going to be ready. It's probably a 6-month recovery at best. So we're talking like September,
Yeah, and that's for him to start throwing, probably.
Yeah. All right, so not too much left on the sheet to talk about.